So today is a big episode. I'm gonna show you how I installed this metal roof all by myself. And make sure to stick till the end because I will go over the mistakes I've made and what I would have done differently if I had known better. So let's get into it and let me show you I managed to do all this by myself. So the first step was actually to cut some of the extra sheathing that was overhanging because I didn't go precisely when I first installed the roof sheathing. And so I needed to get rid of that so that I could install my trim. I need to measure this full length so I can cut this trim piece exactly, probably to the 16th of an inch. So that's really difficult. All right, we're gonna go with that 153 7/8. Bam. Well, the question is, how does it look at the top? Oh, I think I got it a little too short. So I'm like probably 1/4 of an inch too short. Well, so because I'm kind of lazy, I just went ahead and I was like, well, you know what, I'll just nail it and we'll see how it looks. And it was pretty bad. I had a pretty serious gap, and so I went as far as like wedging something in it. And then after thinking about it, I was really like, this is not gonna look good. So I went back and actually cut off the end piece so that I would be able to replace it with a piece that would actually fit properly because, come on, I need this to look okay. That is much better. Whoa, we got it. So the difference between the front and the back is that this is not a 2x6, this is a 2x8. So I wanted a trim that was going to be deeper. I wanted a 1x10, but no one had 1x10s. So I got a 1x12, which is much bigger and which is going to be a little more challenging to install. So let's see how much more difficult. All right, wish me luck. Yeah, no, it's no way. I'm not gonna be able to do it. This is too heavy. Ow. Well, I lost some neck skin. Can I install it from above? Maybe that's the smartest way. The only way is to put some sort of saddle. That's the only way this is gonna work. Oh, mais t'es sérieux? Okay. The moment you've all been waiting for. Am I gonna make this work? Oh, is it just gonna crash and burn? If it falls on the staircase, this thing is gonna split in half. Okay. Dude, okay. Okay, I'm not just there yet. Oh, come on. Fuck! We are right on the line. I know, this is ugly, this is not professional, but that's how I'm gonna fill this gap. And you won't even see it because the roof will wrap around it. I just wanted something in there. But this has to stay between you and me, okay? You don't tell the inspector. Shh. Bam. It's like it never happened. So one of the final steps is, you see, we still have sheathing that's sticking out. So I need to shave all this off. And so I thought that I would use my scary router to do it. So now I just took a measurement, this edge to this edge, including the overhang and everything. I have 26 foot, and a roof panel is 36 inches, but it does overlap. So I'm assuming 35 inches of coverage per panel. So 26 times 12 divided by 35 inches, that's about 8.9. So I will need 9 panels to cover one side. So I'm really trying to stack them as perfect as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ok, encore 2. It's 2 more. Here's something to keep in mind. I ordered my roofing panels to be 13 foot long because at the time that's what I guesstimated is what I would need. But it turns out that that's a little too long. You can have some wiggle room because there's going to be a ridge cap that will go over your roof metal panels, but you probably need it to be good within 2 inches, I would say, because at this edge we will have a 1 inch overhang over the drip edge, and then here, remember, I left a 1 inch to 2 inch gap because this is going to be a vented roof assembly. I cannot put my roof past that or I would block the flow of air. So what I'm about to do to measure exactly what I need is I'm putting a nail right at the edge of my plywood. You know, we're just gonna measure that. I need 12 foot 10. So my panel apparently is 2 inches bigger. So you can see here actually on this side, there's a lip which doesn't exist on the other side. So this lip here always has to be at the bottom. To put it another way, if we were gonna lay those panels, if we were gonna start here and lay the next panel next to here, then we would be good because the lip would be on the bottom and then the side with no lip would be and place itself right over here. I'm just gonna start on the side, and so that means that I will go this way. That means that this is my top and this is my bottom. Anyway, so that's clamped. I'm probably gonna put it right here, 2.5, because I want it in the middle, kind of in the middle of this spacing here.
So here you can see the spacing that I ended up following, 2 inches from the bottom, and then 12 inches on the left side, and then 24 inches everywhere else. And so because I stacked everything very nicely, I was able to drill every 9 sheets at once, which made the process a lot faster and a lot simpler. So as I mentioned earlier, the panels were too long, so I had to shave off about 2.5 inches, and I did that with the grinder, but trust me, this was no easy task. It probably took like going through 3 or 4 batteries to actually get through it. So if you have a cold grinder, it would be a lot easier than working with battery tools for this task.
Yeah, I still have some plywood exposed here. So what I want to do is kind of want to wrap this corner here with some flashing tape just to kind of help protecting everything. Probably not necessary, but I like the idea.
In an effort to place your roof panels properly, the manufacturer gives you this instruction where you're supposed to draw kind of a triangle, right triangle, to help you place your first sheet properly. So it is called the 3-4-5 triangle method, but you can also multiply those values by whatever number you want to match your situation. In my case, my bottom line, which is going to be parallel to my soffit, I decided that one to be 9 feet, so I multiplied the values by 3. Then my next value was the diagonal, which in my case was going to be 15 feet, and then the last one was going to be 12, and that was going to be parallel to my trim piece. So using 2 tape measures, you actually find the point where those 2 measurements intersect, and that's how you form your triangle. Once you get all that figured out, you can go back and draw your first line with chalk. And then also they say that you should do a parallel line 10 foot farther, so that once you place your panels, you will be able to keep an eye on it and make sure that you're still doing well and following your measurement.
There's something else we need to check. All clothes do have to be from this edge. On this side here, we will have what is called a residential rake, just like this. You know, but you have to make sure that this here will land in a flat part. Move it a little bit, just like this. That looks better. Oh, it's so hard to tell because this has some flex to it. This is not easy. This is not easy. And now we have to put this special tape right at that 1 inch line. It's kind of like a double-sided type thing. Oh, it's kind of elastic too. Next thing is you have to put an inside closure here so that nothing will just come, under your roof. I'm just gonna put some silicone on it. Kind of totally winging it. Oh, okay, this is terrible. Seriously? You know, you watch those videos online, those like little 3D animation. They make this whole thing look like a joke. Oh, just put this on. It's easy. No, it's not. There's so many things to like get right at the same time. It's impossible. So the only thing I don't like is this is not a big overhang at all. All right, it's time for putting a screw. All right, I have one screw in. So now let's try and make sure that we don't over tighten it.
So this goes without saying that you shouldn't be using an impact drill for this task.
There we go. So I'm using 1.5 inch self-drilling screw, wood screw from the manufacturer. So you have to be careful, obviously, to not overdrive them. Maybe like the most important thing of all. You don't want to smash the gasket. So you want to engage it, you don't want to smash it. Same thing as earlier, this little tape, we want to put some right here on that rib because you want, you know, the perfect weather sealed connection. I have that special tape here on this edge and here. See, like it needs to go in there and kind of like intertwine. So there's one other thing I wanted to show you, and honestly, I don't even know if it's necessary, but wherever we have that overlap, you can get what they call stitch screws, which is pretty much like a much shorter screw, and it will just attach the, you know, the overlap together even better. Yeah, it's terrible. I need to pre-drill. It's always something. Boom. And that is it. Here's a new mistake. You know, I spent hours measuring all that stuff and, well, look at this. That's my rake. It's clashing with those screws. So that is great fun. So I think I'm gonna have to pull those screws out, place the rake, and then redo my screws over that. I do not see any other way. You know what? I think I can just do my 612 right there. And then here we're gonna do a tab. I don't know, that's kind of what I imagined it would look. Now we just gotta try it. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. I guess that's it. I gotta remove all the screws. So this will go here. Okay, so I remove all the screws. So what I'm gonna do is I pre-drill this lower location and I'm just gonna attach it. This is actually not bad at all. I might be able to go over the existing holes. And you can see I'm wearing my running shoes, and the only reason is that because they're the shoes that stick the most to this metal building. There you go. Nothing will get in there. Alrighty, all good. See, I'm gonna put them 3 feet on center. Ready. Bam. Okay, so here's my last piece at the gable end. So I just redid a 612 angle. Nice! Look at this. I mean, it would have been nice with one piece, but whatevs. They only come in 10 footers. So here's something I wanted to show you. So I didn't pay attention to that and I got super lucky. Look at this. So, you know, the screws from the metal roof will go through your plywood sheathing, and I got super lucky that one of my lines of, you know, screws actually is like an inch away from, you know, the panel separation. So I was making good progress. Things were going smoothly. I was going a panel after the other. And then I started having a few screws spinning out. And I was like, okay, what is going on? I really thought that I was missing my panel edge and I was good to go. But then eventually it turned out that I don't know what is out of square, if it's the sheathing on the cabin or me putting the roof on. But eventually I was slightly getting closer and closer to the joint between the panels. And sure enough, I started hitting it. And so now I have a few screws that went through exactly the connection between the panels. So let me show you what I did to kind of help with that. So I ended up going back and just adding a piece of sheathing right at the joint. You can see here on this side, I'm still getting into the plywood. And then after that, unfortunately, I was starting to hit the middle. And so I just filled it in so that I would have something for my screws to hit. And you know, at least now I can feel pretty confident about it. But then I went back to what I did on this other side, which is funny because I never really felt like I was not eating anything. And then, you know, I got my flashlight and I started flashing and I just about lost my mind. Because on this other side, I mean, I can count at least, I don't know, 10 plus screws. Because the issue is, once you're hitting one joint, surely you're hitting in the whole way. Because the screws are exactly at, you know, 12 inches or 24 inches on center. And so my joints are exactly at 4 foot on center. So if you're hitting it at some point, you're gonna hit it everywhere. And so here I'm looking at one where I just hit it at the 3 location. And that is driving me nuts because I'm trying to rush to finish this roof absolutely today. But I have all those little things, which it's fixable, but it's gonna take me hours to like get extra plywood, make sure that it fits. First, you know, I have to locate exactly the screws, which is, that in itself is not easy. So anyway, it's really demoralizing to find that out just now when I was making some good progress, but
to be honest with you, I almost did not include this part in the edit, but you know, I have to be honest with you guys and show you everything I do even when I mess up. So here I was spending hours installing all that extra plywood and making sure those screws would be attached properly. After this was done, I was finally ready to get back into the installation of the roof and hopefully finishing it. So last but not least, the ridge cap, so which was going to be the final piece of the roof. And so the first step was to cut the end so that it would nicely wrap above the other piece of trim.
okay, triangle first. Okay, so the machining, gonna cut all this. Now we don't need that anymore. So you can just use I use the sheathing as my kind of guiding edge. And fairly easy. I just remembered there is a wasp nest right here under the deck. So I'm just kind of about to open the gate of hell, possibly. Second thing I gotta do is we're marking up the edge of the ridge cap, and then I'm also marking an inch higher because that's where I'm gonna run. I'm gonna have to run some butyl tape. This is an outside closure. This will go over the panel, and you can see it has little holes here because it will prevent pests and insects from coming in, but it will allow moisture and air to flow through. So you can see here, I have my butyl tape that I just installed, and the closure is going to go right over that. And let's be quiet because I don't want to wake up the wasp, and they're right there in their little nest. Hey, that's not bad. All right, perfect. See that? I just cut it a little bit.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, this last part of the roof installation was a little bit sketchy. Being all the way on top of the ridge just, you know, was not easy.
I can go ahead and place some fasteners. Let me try and sit. We'll go right here in the rib, and you need 2-inch long screws for that reason. So we gotta pre-drill it.
So after that, I did exactly the same thing with the second piece of ridge. Obviously, I overlapped them by about 6 inches and added a bunch of silicone. And you can see that I was trying to really attach it as best as I could. And it was not easy finding a comfortable position to really, you know, do my drilling and do the attachment. So last piece, but how do you put it on? Because I have to remove my attachment, so that's fun. I've put 2, and I have the last one, which is obviously, thankfully, the smallest one, but I still need to detach myself. And then I don't know how I'm gonna get back up. Well, for the last piece, you're gonna have to be okay doing it with actually no attachment whatsoever. And so, you know, try and be careful. I think this is it. I think this is it. I am so happy with the result. The roof looks absolutely amazing, and what a great feeling that I managed to get it all done by myself. I really did not even think it would have been possible, but I mean, I did it. And now I never ever have to put a tarp back on because this cabin is actually officially dried in. All right, so as promised, let's go over mistakes I've made, things I would have done differently for this metal roof. So I have a little list here to help me out. So the first challenge, as you saw at the beginning of the video, is how do you make sure that you're installing your panel in a square fashion? I mean, unfortunately, I'm a DIYer. This cabin is not perfect. So I know this line here is not perfectly parallel to the ridge. My sheathing was not installed perfectly square. So you just have to decide where are you going to put your panels. So that has been probably one of the most challenging things, because once you set that first panel, it is very difficult to correct the angle of your panels because you're kind of stacking them up and they're going to keep going in the same manner. I mean, it's kind of a difficult one. I would say that, you know, you can try the square method that I've done initially. You can try and align it with your fascia. I mean, it is kind of a game of like trying different ways. I would also maybe tell you that put a few panels and only a few screws to kind of see if it's going in the right direction before you really commit and put hundreds of screws and then realize that you're completely off. So that's probably the main thing to look out for once you're starting this, you know, installation. So another question is like, you know, should you pre-drill the holes? Because the downside is like, once you pre-drill the holes, you kind of have to put the screws at those locations. And so what if you run into the edge of a panel like I did? Then you're kind of stuck and you have to find a way to put a screw there and make it work. Versus if you don't pre-drill, then you somehow have the ability to change the location of your screws. Obviously, it'll probably look terrible because you might not end up with like really nice line of screws, but I guess who cares? It would probably make your life easier and you would have more flexibility. I mean, having said that, I did pre-drill. I still believe that pre-drilling is best as long as you're going to be careful and not run into your panel edges, which is kind of my next point here. Do anything you can to avoid the panel edges between your sheathing. As you saw in my video, I started and it was fine, but because my panels were not perfectly square, slowly but surely, I got closer and closer to that seam between my panels, and eventually I hit that seam, which was terrible, and I hated it, and it made me lose a lot of time. What I would say is, when you're pre-drilling your panel, don't do it blindly like I did. You know, in my case, I went here 1 inch or 2 inches, and then 12 inches on center at this edge, and then 24 inches on center at that edge. I would not do that again. What I would do is, I would really think about where my seams are, you know, when your sheathing is installed, and I would find a spacing that would allow you to actually be at least 4 to 5 inches away from your seams. So another point is the estimate of materials. When I started working on this roof, you know, I did the estimate with a local building supplier, and I asked them, hey, how many screws do I need, and how many rolls of butyl tape do I need? And it's only, oh, you know what, 3 bags of screws should do it, and 3 rolls of butyl tape
should be plenty enough. And you know what? I didn't question it. I just went with it. And sure enough, this was far from being enough. So it kind of slowed me down because on one afternoon, I had to stop working because I ran out of butyl tape. So I could not install new panels. So that was really annoying. So I would say definitely think about how many screws you're gonna need, how many roll of butyl tape, and probably get more than what you need, and then you can always return it, or at least it won't stop you from making progress. So another question is obviously, do you need scaffolding? And how do you do this safely? I mean, you saw me. I mean, I never really felt in danger because I was mostly attached to my roof. I mean, I gotta say that working off of ladders, especially on the other side, can be sketchy. And so definitely having a scaffolding in place would have probably been a much better choice, but I don't know. I don't feel like spending $3 grand on scaffolding. I don't feel like spending a lot renting them. So I tried with the ladders. I found a system. It worked for me. And so I felt comfortable enough that that's what I did it. So definitely click on the link on your screen and go check out the next episode so you can keep seeing all the progress I'm making, because slowly but surely, this cabin will get done. All right, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time.